Hi everybody! Today I'm going to read you a story called Woodrow, the White House Mouse. I thought this was a good story for us to read right now, considering we are in the middle of a presidential election year that happens every 4 years. And as you can tell from the picture and the cover of this page, it looks like the genre of this story is going to be somewhat of a fantasy book, because I have a mouse with clothes on him right now, and we know that mice can't possibly wear clothes or little tiny glasses. So I know that somebody, the author of this story, Peter W. Barnes and Cheryl Shaw Barnes, decided that they were going to make a fun story about something that couldn't possibly happen, like a mouse being the president in the White House. But the cool thing that these authors did was they decided to use the mouse's journey to tell you a story about the White House. And as they tell the story, they talk to you about some real information. So they put a little twist on it and make it like some nonfiction information is like intertwined within this story. And as you're reading today, what I want you to do is I want you to be thinking about some new vocabulary, because there's vocabulary about the presidential election intertwined throughout this whole entire book. So I want you to think about some words that you may have never heard of before, but this book helps you to hear the new words and helps you to realize what those new words mean. All right, so as we are reading, I want you to make sure you're focusing on the vocabulary in this book and think about all the new things that you could possibly be learning from Woodrow, the White House Mouse. All right. Every 4 years, like the rest of us do, the mice of the nation elect someone too. Living in Washington's grandest old house, a leader respected, a President Mouse. Woodrow G. Washingtail won the last vote. Mouse Yankee Doodle, the newspapers wrote. So good and so brave and smart, if you please. His favorite food? Why, American cheese. So on a cold winter's day, with most solemn respect, 2 presidents swore to preserve and protect our nation, our freedoms, our flag, see it wave, our land of the free, and our home of the brave. So if you look really, really closely at this, you're going to see the real president of the United States right there in the middle. You see it? He's being sworn in during his inauguration. And if you look at the top corner, sorry, I'm getting used to this, guys. You look at the top corner, you're going to see the mouse at the inauguration, really close zoomed in because he's so tiny. Okay, so 2 presidents, which means the real president of the United States, and Woodrow Washingtail got sworn in during the inauguration. That's a big vocab word that you guys might have not heard of. And the inauguration is the day the president of the United States gets sworn in to his new duties as president. And we'll have one soon in January after the election. The White House was lit, floor to roof, wall to wall, for the beautiful, splendid inaugural ball. Soon Woodrow arrived with his First Lady Bess and their children in tow, about 8 more or less. So there they go. All the people go in to the White House for the inaugural ball. And as I'm looking at the pictures, I'm keeping track of where that mouse is. There were Truman and Franklin, their 2 oldest sons, and Quentin and Kermit and the mischievous ones, and Dolly and Millie and the twins George and Art. Not even their classmates could tell them apart. So this is Woodrow Washingtail's entire family all dressed up for the inaugural ball. The stateroom was filled with goodwill and good cheer. The mouse children watched from the great chandelier. It was going quite well until George, with a whoop, slipped and landed kersplash in a senator's soup. So if you look closely at the chandelier, you see the mouse hanging, and then he falls down and lands in the senator's soup at the inaugural ball. That's pretty silly. The president has a big job, you'll agree. Many places to go, many people to see. In the great Oval Office, he does all his thinking, and Woodrow, they say, is as smart as Abe Lincoln. So there they are in the Oval Office, That is the president's office. It's so important that it has a name. It's not just any old office, it's the Oval Office. The President Mouse has a desk on the shelf where he works with his helpers or just by himself. Our grand Constitution keeps a president busy, so many assignments, a mouse could get dizzy. All right, there's another vocabulary word for you guys, Constitution, which basically is a list of rules for how the country should operate. The primary job of the President Mouse is working with Congress, the Senate, and House on making new laws for the good of the nation, health, peace, and justice for the whole population. The President is required to study each bill that Congress delivers from Capitol Hill. If he signs it, a bill becomes law. It's approved. If he gives it a veto, it's rejected, removed. So that is a new word, veto. If you veto something, if the president vetoes something, that means something comes across his desk and he says veto. That means rejected. It's not happening. He's the chief executive, which means he's in charge of government departments, the small and the large. Government departments include transportation, justice, and labor, and of course, education, my favorite one. He is also commander-in-chief, and that means the Army and Navy, Air Force, and Marines report to the president as boss, the big cheese. On this, every soldier and sailor agrees. The president regularly talks and greets the leaders from foreign countries he meets. In this job, the president is our head of state when handling foreign affairs, small and great. But the president also gets time out to play. Every Easter, for instance, is egg rolling day. There are orange eggs, yellow eggs, purple eggs too. There are even some eggs colored red, white, and blue. Egg rolling day. It's tradition at the White House during Easter. Inside the White House, there's also more fun for Woodrow, his family, and most everyone. The East Room is used for artistic events, like concerts and shows for mouse ladies and gents. One night, Millie dreamed that on one special day, she might, if she practiced, dance an East Room ballet. She'd be joined by the famous Marine Mouse Quartet for her flawless finale, a fine pirouette. Here is the East Room in the White House. It is used for lots of wonderful and grand events. The Red Room and Green Room are not side by side, but they're wonderful places for children to hide when they play hide and seek, and Woodrow is seeking, but he finds them so fast. Could it be that he's peeking? There's Woodrow, and he's looking for, can you find the rest of his family? The Blue Room at Christmas is decked to the ceiling. The fire is roaring. The children are squealing, excited that Christmas is once again here to share with our loved ones and those we hold dear. So if you look carefully, this is how they decorate the White House for Christmas. And as he nodded to sleep, the good President Mouse was thankful for family and country and house. This is so wonderful, was his happy reflection, that a fellow might want to seek re-election. There is another vocab word. Ended it with a bang. Re-election means to be elected again. So once you're elected, you serve 4 years, and then you have the opportunity to go up for re-election and serve another 4 years. So boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our story called Woodrow the White House Mouse. There was tons of vocabulary words that we learned about our election throughout reading this book. So it's really cool how the authors, Peter W. Barnes and Cheryl Shaw Barnes, decided that they were going to use a fantasy way to give us facts and information. And it kind of kept our attention that way. So we weren't just reading facts. They put it into a story and helped us learn something new through their fantasy book, which is really cool. And I hope that you learned a number of vocab words. I know we talked about the word veto, we talked about the word inaugural, we talked about the word re-election. Those are all vocabulary words that have to do with election and the presidency and politics. So if you can think of them, think of what word that you learned new in this story, or it might be a word that you've heard of before or you've never heard of. And if you heard of it before, did you always know what it means, or did you learn through this story? We want to remember that when reading books, there's always tons of vocabulary in the books that might be words that we've never heard of before. But by reading a new book and by using the clues around it, we can kind of figure out what the words means. And as readers now, we're always being introduced to new words every day. All right? I hope you guys had fun and you learned some new words, and I will see you soon.